Hi everybody, this is Sean Gray and this is my presentation on the amygdala. So what is the amygdala? The amygdala is an almond-shaped collection of nuclei in the medial temporal lobe. It's part of the limbic system, which also involves the hippocampus, hypothalamus, cingulate cortex, mammillary bodies, the fornix, and thalamus. So these linked brain structures and units which often regulate emotions and behaviors. The amygdala is essential for emotional processing, acquiring sensory information, and affect responses, and perhaps most importantly, threat and fear. So, what are the key functions of the amygdala? Emotional processing. So, swiftly evaluating and interpreting importance of stimuli or threat cues, specifically aggression, anger, fear, and anxiety. It works in both the conscious and unconscious. So the biological relevant danger cues, loud noises, angry facial expressions, approaches to movement. Threat detection. And there are two types of threat detection. The autonomic response, which is fast, survival based, and this is between the thalamus and the amygdala. For example, you're walking down a path and you see a mountain lion or a snake. And then there's cognitive responses, which are slower, more detailed, and accurate interpretations, and this is between the thalamus, cortex, and the amygdala. Example here would be you hear a bang while walking through a parking lot. Initially, that autonomic response kicks in, but then you realize it was a car door, you scan your environment, you see people laughing, you realize you're safe and it's not a threat. Memory modulation. This is between the amygdala and hippocampus. Interaction to form emotionally significant memories. So maybe past trauma in childhood or something that adverse that occurred in the past. Endocrine autonomic activation. This is the hypothalamus pituitary axis activation or the sympathetic response, fight or flight. So you have increased blood pressure, heart rate, increased cortisol levels. Impacts on mental health. Anxiety disorders. So in anxiety disorders, we see hyperactivation of the amygdala, exaggerated threat feedback, and hypervigilance. So social anxiety with public speaking or presentations, generalized anxiety with excessive and continued worry, and panic disorders. PTSD and trauma, you have hyperactivation of the amygdala and decreased prefrontal cortex regulation, so loss of the brake system. This results in intrusive memories, decreased fear extinction, and usually hyperarousal. We also see the amygdala's role in depression, where you have a heightened susceptibility to negative stimuli or increased adverse emotional processing. So, for example, you have a work review and your boss gives a little bit of feedback on an area of improvement, and you take that as you're the worst employee ever or you're going to get fired. Substance abuse disorders, so emotional memory and processing are involved with drug cues. It can also lead to relapse and craving triggers. So you see the drug, you remember how it made you feel, can lead to relapse. So treatment targeting the amygdala is cognitive behavioral therapy, which can enhance the prefrontal cortex regulation over the amygdala. Exposure therapy, which decreases amygdala hyperactivity through fear extinction. Exposure therapy can include gradually exposing somebody to an increased number of stairs if they're afraid of heights. Benzodiazepines only in the short term, so this diminishes amygdala activity by increasing GABA. SSRIs and SNRIs. So this increases serotonin, and downstream effects reduce hyperactivity in the amygdala over time. Just like how long it takes SSRIs and SNRIs to work, anywhere in the time range 2 or 3 weeks to 8 weeks. And beta blockers, which are known to decrease the autonomic response from the amygdala. That's why it's often used for public speaking or social anxiety. That was my presentation on the amygdala, and these are my references.